What's up, everybody? J Heat SportsMedia coming at y'all again with that fire as always, spitting these hot topics and getting this sports conversation started. Y'all know what I be talking about: football, basketball, and boxing. Let's get into some professional football. The NFC in the NFL. I want to talk about where we stand and where we're going as we head into these playoffs. My final predictions for the NFC, if you will. Let's talk about it. So the Minnesota Vikings, they're leading their division, and more than likely, in my opinion, and this will be the last predictions, like I said, I'm giving until we get to the playoffs. I got the Minnesota Vikings winning their division, and I don't think anybody else is going to make it. I know Aaron Rodgers is holding on to hope. They should probably shut him down in Green Bay. Now he knows how Brett Favre felt when a young guy was behind him trying to get his shine and make a name for himself, that being Aaron Rodgers back then, who took Brett Favre's spot. I feel like this is more than just I want to play and try to make the playoffs. I feel like Rodgers felt some type of way when they drafted Jordan Love. He took it out on the league with 2 straight MVPs, and even though he's not playing at that level right now, he is not trying to relinquish his spot to the young kid. That being said, it's over for them. Minnesota will win the division, and they got a chance to be the 1 seed, believe it or not. In my opinion, they got one possible loss left on their schedule. That's the next game they play against the New York Jets, who, now that they made the quarterback change, are even more dangerous. That could be a loss for Minnesota. But outside of that, I think they're going to run the table and finish, if not with just 2 losses, 3 max. So I got them finishing either 1 or 2 in the conference. Now, as for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, as I said, they're going to win their division by default. The division sucks. Just what it is. I do see 2 more losses on their schedule at least. That's going to be to the San Francisco 49ers and the Cincinnati Bengals, who have been rolling lately and are ready to make their march and make some noise. I didn't think in the beginning of the season the Bengals was going to make the playoffs. I said that the Bengals and the Rams, who were both in the Super Bowl, I had neither getting to the playoffs. I was right about the Rams, but I am not right about the Bengals, it seems. So, that being said, it is what it is. The Bengals are rolling, and I do think they'll beat the Bucs. So that gives the Bucs 2 losses in addition to the 6 they already got, putting them at a possible 9-8 finishing record. Even if they lose another one in there and they end up 8-9, I think they still will win that division, and they'll be the 4 seed by default, which the NFL need to do something about that. I feel like you should get in automatically based on winning your division, but you shouldn't necessarily have home field if your record isn't as good as the team you're playing. That's just my opinion. Now, the NFC West, very interesting division. San Francisco, I think, is in. Like I said, they rolling, and their guys are coming back at the right time. I think they win out on this schedule and end up 13-4 on the year. This Miami game coming up, which everybody say is a test for the Dolphins, I think is going to be a test for San Francisco even more so. I do think that that's a possible loss, but I'm going to go with the 49ers on this one because they fighting trying to scrap to get a 1 or a 2 seed if some of these guys drop off that are ahead of them, like Minnesota and the Eagles, and it's still within reach to do that. So I do think they're going to go in here and try to take it to the Dolphins, and this is a prove-it-to-them game. The defense trumps offense, so to speak. But it's a dangerous one, and should they win as I expect them to, I think they're going to run the table from there. Seattle, on the other hand, they got to play San Francisco still, and even though it'll be at home for them, I think that's going to be a loss. And they got Kansas City and the Jets. I see 3 more losses on Seattle's resume that'll put them at 9-8. And will they get in the playoffs at 9-8? It's possible. But that's how it depends on how that NFC East goes, and that's what we need to talk about. Now, the Eagles, they got a tough schedule still to figure out for them. It's not easy sailing for it's not a easy path, so to speak, for the Eagles moving forward. I do think they still will finish as the 1 seed in the NFC, but again, it could be tight. It might end up with them and Minnesota having the same record, being 14-3 at the end. The Eagles have the Giants twice still, once in New York, and they got to go to Dallas, and on top of that, they got Tennessee. Between those 4 games, I could see 2 losses coming out of there, and that would put them at 14-3. They also could only lose 1 of those, or none. They're good enough to run the table. I think it'll at least be 1 loss, if not 2, which is why I say they're going to win the 1 seed, but it could be them having the tiebreaker over Minnesota, both having 3 losses, but they beat Minnesota this year. That's my thought with the Eagles definitely winning the NFC East. Now, the Cowboys, America's team, their schedule softens up a bit moving forward. Not no world beaters that they about to play against. I think they're going to start to gain some more momentum. People, especially their fans, are going to start to really see those Super Bowl lights flashing, thinking that they about to get another championship. Pump the brakes on that one, guys and ladies. I don't see a Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys this year. I do think they can get in the playoffs and make a little noise, not just get beat first game they play. But I think their schedule, they'll carry momentum, having not lost until they get to play the Eagles at home, where I'm expecting them to beat the Eagles, but you never know. But I'm going to give them that one, and then they'll be really riding high, feeling good about themselves, still sitting on only 3 losses. But then they got to go on the road to end the season. 2 road games, Tennessee and the Washington Commanders. I think both are going to be tough because they'll be riding so high from the Eagles game. I see a potential letdown going to Tennessee. And I think the Commanders, who will probably be playing for their playoff lives possibly, could get them then. Not to mention, just because of the rivalry and they hardly ever beat the Cowboys and they're playing well this year, they're going to really need that game. So I could see the Cowboys losing 1, maybe 2 games, finishing around 13-4 or 12-5. But good enough to be the for sure 5th seed and playing the Bucs in round 1. Now that leaves us with the New York Football Giants and the Washington Commanders. I feel like between these 2 teams, even though right now it looks like all the teams in the NFC East could make it, I think with Seattle's ending schedule and their schedule, I don't know if that's going to happen. The football gods or the schedule makers weren't too nice to neither one of these teams. The Giants, man, they did them dirty. They got Washington twice still to go, the Eagles twice, and Minnesota with a trap game against Indianapolis Colts slipped in there. They could lose all these games, ladies and gentlemen. I got a Giants fan that's a friend that says this is the worst good team he's seen in a long time. I don't know. I got faith in Saquon Barkley. I want Daniel Jones to do well. I'm going to be honest. Definitely like Barkley. But with that schedule, having to play the people they got to play, I could see 4 losses there. A minimum of 3. But I could see 4 or 5 losses. And I'm going to go with 4 for the Giants, which will put them at 9-8. And then the Washington Commanders, they still have the Giants twice. They've got San Francisco. They've got Cleveland with Deshaun Watson back, trying to see what he can do and work on his game. They got a tough road ahead for them. Their last 3 games could be losses. The Dallas Cowboys is what ends the season. So Washington could lose all their games too, no doubt about it. And if that happens, they're the team that's out without question, and Seattle and the Giants get in. It's very critical that the Giants and the Washington Commanders play each other twice. I think what happens with those two games are going to tell the story. I think the Washington's going to get them in the first game, is my opinion, if I'm going to have to make a prediction. And then Washington, the one good thing about their schedule, they got a bye right after that. So they can focus on what they did well. Even if they lost, they can focus on what they did poorly. Really, you're going to be looking at both. Rest up for the bye, and then play the Giants again and hopefully beat them then. And I'm going with Washington to beat the Giants both times because of how this schedule is made up. But that's a tough thing to do, tough task. I think that the Washington football team, if they can do that, plus the fact that they have the bye, they can afford then to lose the last 3 games of the season, even the one to Dallas, and finish 9-8. At that point, they would be able to be set up well to be in the playoffs because they'd have the tiebreaker on the Giants if they're both 9-8. So I'm going with Washington is in and Seattle is in, and the Giants are the odd team out in the playoffs. So that's my picks there. And those are my teams from the NFC that I got going to the playoffs based on what I've seen so far in this season, which has been very hard to call, I must say. All right, y'all, that's all the time I got. Y'all know what it is, and you know what you're looking for. J Heat Sports Media. Remember to like, subscribe, or hit that bell. Get at me in the comments. Let's get these subscribers up. I appreciate all the love from those who have subscribed recently and those that have been sticking around and continuing to see these videos. Pass them along to people that you know that may like sports videos about football, basketball, and boxing. Remember, YouTube is home base, but I'm on Instagram as well, at The Vault JMU414 on Twitter. And of course, what's up, TikTok? I'll let y'all next time.